about this is firstly there's hills on the north side, so there's going to be some elevation up there. Where they're at right now, a lot of that congested side will be in that east. Swim across the water to get there, so it's going to be a little rough.
Absolutely. Look at Sanji right now, 2 down on Surge, all the way over to 30 HP, but he actually makes it happen. 1v2. Bove is down for now. He'll be able to get way back up, but can he survive? Doesn't get to pick up any of those extra shields, really. Just the mats, and now every single player's looking at him. Nova 2, 9 below. He's 1 damage tag, 1 shot. But no, he goes down.
No, Coach Harry, their coach is going to be not so happy about that one at the same time. The planning, unfortunately, didn't go into action at that time. I'm sure the plan was absolutely fantastic. I know my boy would have put in a good plan for them, but the execution just not quite there for the Storm Surge tags. Sometimes just hitting the shots is all that counts, right?
That's all you kind of need to do. I've seen so many players end up missing a few, and then, like, you know, it doesn't seem like a big deal till that number comes in. It's kind of like, you know, you're ordering dinner, you get the receipt at the end, you're like, oh, that's what all my decisions are amounting to. And Sanji as well, he has a huge bill, he can't pay it. Just watch him cleaning the dishes in the back end.
Unfortunate for him, he goes down. One of our tilted towers, team's not looking so good from then. A difficult spot to get Surge in when there's not like 4 different teams in that area right now, because usually you're the team who's getting tagged up at the same time. And notice, again, now that we look at the map, this is exactly what's talking about. The east side becoming super congested, in particular up on top of the hills. The players are trying to get up onto that elevation early, just in case the zone ends up pulling there. But you never know. I'm thinking that next zone, the 4th zone, is going to pull a little over to the east, or sorry, to the west side, and a lot of these players are going to have to potentially even go through the water, which is a really, really rough rotate that you do not want to be making. Players that already set up hills will just get nice big beams on you if you do that.
Yeah, this is where you kind of wish you had wings, you know what I mean? Just migrate all the way.
Well, Vino does. 2 launch pads coming from the drop spot.
Where do you want to use those though, right? Because a lot of people just want to save it completely for another portion of the game. Hold up real quick, because Pickle is basically getting juiced right now. This is going to be mucho unfortunate for him for the moment. Meld already down, him as a solo. All the Spider-Man, you know, web shooters are active, but he can't really use them. You're so kind of free inside the air to get shot at. Every single team's looking at this too. You see a big tower falling over and over again, Reese. You're hyper-focused on landing that final shot.
Yeah, okay, so they're in that rough spot. They're up top right now. I'm not sure what he can do, let's be real, at this moment at all. Going back to Sanji just to see exactly what happened there. That was what got him above the Storm Surge threshold of that moment to Malumo. He tried to hit the launch pad. The entire lobby heard it. You asked me the question, Shao, when do you want to use your launch pads? Not there anyway at that particular moment. He got stuck way down into the back of the zone. The ideal time really is that first moving, right? When you get into that first moving zone, you're going to be sitting, you're going to use that launch pad to get you to the front side of the zone, and you're going to be absolutely fine there.
This is the POV, the interrupters, I would say, of the region so far, at least in game number 1. Skyzoo, Jocks, 2 different POIs where they've just won fights, and now they're still looking to be on the hunt. I've never seen aggression like this in the semis to start things off in terms of, you know, tactically trying to claim above teams' bases, trying to stay on the move and go from spot to spot, especially staying highly elevated. It costs a few mats. You can already see Skyzoo, basically all the wood is gone. Based in a spot for a refresh entirely. I don't think these guys are going to be able to survive too long, Reese, if they go for this strat.
You got to remember, there's barely any materials to reharvest here, just based on the fight we saw at the start. Every single map was gone from then on out. Good job from them layering up, getting up to a higher layer, as you mentioned. That'll give them that opportunity to launch pad, if they have one, of course. I can't exactly see, for that first moving zone.
You know, Joe, have the 2. This is the Covert Cavern team. They're going to have the best chance, we're talking pre-show, right, to win this first game. That is the condition they're set out for. That's what they want to do. Have to stay clear while doing it. Handle this like Squeeze, though. Bunch of shots. Pig already down, and they have a few more in their sights.
Yeah, and Lex is a team, you know what? I've not been as impressed with him across the whole season. As soon as he started playing with X-Squeeze, though, things started to click a little bit. They won a cash cup. You know, when it came to their off-spawn in Kondo, that's going to be their biggest issue. But today, that's not really been a problem for them, given that they've not got as many of the biggest teams like Vidil and Reason next to them at the same time. So, you know, they're a lot less difficult off-spawn. Now, that's kind of in their position to thrive. Like, they're expert players. They know how to get Storm Surge. Hopefully, we'll figure out, and we'll figure out at the same time if they can play endgame. We'll decide that after this game. As we move back over to say in Chapix, who's a POV we've looked at a couple times today. A full western zone for them means that it has been a little bit difficult to get their Storm Surge. Only 63 above at this point.
Yeah, their mental is kind of shared with the rest of the server. There's not even a single duo inside that zone properly. We have that orange one at that bottom right. You can see they're at the top of it. There's a few blues inside as well, but the whole server, as you called, Reese, will have to move.
Well, indeed. as soon as we got... No, that bottom left-hand zone, exactly as I mentioned, that congestion up in the northeast. Looking very, very juicy. A lot of the players right here are going to have to figure out, can we launch pad or can we use someone else's launch pad? You see the mythic Spider-Man's web shooters in someone's hands at that moment, and we'll have to see, are they going to decide to use them? They pop the pepper. Are they going to end up one using them? You know, potentially Scram, then Refscar walking by foot. No, they both have them. So, okay, here we go. The rotation's on and see if they can hit the max distance.
See what ends up happening. Steady rocking in. Chatpix on the right side. We'll see how things end up moving. Cam Cuddle, everyone's driving in, flying in. They're all going completely straight for prime position. Cam Cuddle is anything but that right now. People might be box to box, but not going to be happy about it for the moment. Steady Chatpix have driven all the way up top to a patio. These guys are ready to just wine and dine it out. This is crazy. How is this even allowed? They have one of the best bases there too. Complete opposite side of the map entirely, and they get to roll in on the best prime spot, saving all their mats. Just one truck and a dream. Make it a reality. Look at the scope of the zone 2. Every single box, metal, brick, people all in, and Seti's there with the shots as well. He knows exactly what's going down on the backside. This is what happens when you end up moving early, forcing teams all the way down below. They know exactly who's low, who's going to be desperate for shots. One teammate left by himself, and Seti's ready to strike. Piercing through the walls, Chatpix drops on the right side. This is huge, and there's the knock. Not even finding this position, we're getting a full refresh, getting an elimination at this point. Seti and Chatpix are playing this perfectly.
That they are veteran players, getting the Storm Surge in that 5th zone. This is the perfect time to do so. This is the time that now they don't have to worry about it during the moving zones, right? They have great positioning, they have great heals, they have great mobility at this point. They have everything that they need, either to go for the victory royale if they need to, or potentially just get deep into the end game, get enough points. They've already managed to accumulate 10 at this moment, which is absolutely fantastic to keep themselves moving up the leaderboards. But here we go, the first moving zone of game number 1 of the semifinals.
Vino and Joe have position and 2 pads still. You mentioned it. It's huge. 108 damage above as well. They're going to still keep things low, not even building inside this entire house. Remember, this is what we saw Coop set on fire. We started the game here. It was aggressive. It's getting crazy as we keep moving on too. They start to look back. People try to follow their line. Setting now. Low as old. Chatpix is taken out at the exact same time. Skyzoo is there on the bottom side too. Too much interruption in front of all these teams as Chulux ends up taking him out. Joe down, but he didn't have the pads. It was Vino, the duo who were destined to win this game, gets split apart in half, and Vino's having trouble getting off the ground. He gets taken out. A chance at victory, a chance at finals denied. It's X-Squeeze and Andalex on height that make it difficult for any team to move.
This is not the time you want to be taking high ground, though. This is way too early when it comes to these reboot-style games where the Victory Royale will qualify you through to that moment, because what you got to remember is a lot of the players in the lobby are going to be looking to take high ground because they know that is the position for them to pick up the Victory Royale.
X-Squeeze Andalex looking really good right now, just staying away from everyone, staying away from the chaos. And it also goes downhill, pressuring teams even more. You got to watch your footing. It gets rough.
Okay, at the same time, backside his own, Refscar left as a solo losing Scram at this exact moment. He's got the heals, but he's only down to Wood, which is a clear sign to the rest of the lobby that could be shot, but he's doing such a great job of getting to the front side of the zone and keeping away from everyone else.
Dodges every single shot, absolutely, and gets inside one of the wooden boxes that he built himself. 12 bulls left, so that's just a few more to go. 3 different positions he can kind of hunker down himself, but you see Janus and Vortex also kind of going for height. What happened? Those high ground leaders, where's X-Squeeze, where's Andalex? Not sure if they ended up going down, but now we have one of the most aggressive duos that are so good at closing out games, holding off one of the best positions overall. If they get the win, they get to move. Andalex, X-Squeeze push down towards the ground, eating dirt, but at the same time surviving. No mats on either side. X-Squeeze now low, has to get a few more shields up, but there's invaders inside their boxes. It's not looking good. Andalex with the back shot, and then once again a pickaxe swing from X-Squeeze. They're desperate. It's still not enough. Down to nothing in front of duos. They had height, but they go down.
As Vortex still up on the high ground, up above, trying to spray that down to the lobby down below. This just reminds me of the qualifier to the final game where they popped off 10 elimination Victory Royale, and they're looking to reverse it, do it in game number 1.
Janus Vortex calm now up on height. You got to remember, if you're in this position, yes, you want to be milking elims if it's a consistency type format. They still kind of are, but the win inside these semifinals also sends you straight to the finals. You don't even have to play for the rest of the day. Swilliam and Lecce have made it through such a grueling process in their POI as well. Chonker Speedway is no stranger to disaster, to fighting, and right now they're going to be matless completely, also looking to keep their game alive. A low ground position is also one you can win from, but they need a huge refresh right now. They can't hear, can't see anything, dropping down to the final layer.
Yeah, if we're going to bet on anyone to get a 50-50 hit the shots, it's going to be Lecce and it's going to be Swilliam. Swilliam, one of the best aimers on the Asia region before he came over to EU. Lecce, one of the biggest, but no, he's going to go down, leaving Swilliam as a solo in the back of his zone, and he's going down to the low ground masters of Kinzel and Dissiptos.
Eviscerated, and we'll have Dissiptos and Kinzel waiting there too. Janus Vortex here as well. This could just be a finals game lobby with the who's who of Fortnite inside. Center Rayed inside the mid ground as well. 6 teams, and you can kind of feel the pressure. Not a single AR shooting, not a SMG rattle inside. It's just shotguns left and right. This is absolutely disastrous for a lot of teams who are matless, but Dissiptos and Kinzel are still moving through. They find the front side of the zone. They're looking really nice. Pressure on the right side. That's Fury on their walls. Dissiptos, though, taking damage to claim all this land. That's going to be fine for him. Janus and Vortex are trying now to find a little bit of a say inside this conversation. Lusha and Fury right above ahead. A river in the way of Dissiptos and Kinzel as well. They got the med mist popping too. This is still getting close. 4 teams now as we see Rayed go down. That's Vortexia raining fire from above.
Kinzel Dissiptos now down to 0 materials each. 1 build actually onto Dissiptos. 1 work that he can work with from here on out. But at this moment, I've seen him clutch up already in the qualifiers a bigger match than this. But the zone's about to pull uphill. The high ground teams will have the advantage. That single wood build place, the spray starting to come up to the players up above. But no, Lucia just has enough.
Big edit from Fury, though. That's going to be a huge interruption. Dissiptos down. All up to Kinzel. Shot from the backside. Lusha gets it, but who's on high ground? It's Vortex. It's Janus. They've been waiting. Time on their side. It's still a 2v2. No knocks yet. Fury is going to get a few builds up. Is it him by himself, though? Yes. Lusha is actually down. 2v1. Janus and Vortex, a ticket straight to the finals. Alive. Thriving for them right now. All they need to do is wait this out. I do not see Fury anywhere. They have so much time for the moment. Where can he run? Is he going to strike is the question. A wall put down. Fury is still in the storm. Here's his last leg. A chance at possibly the biggest shot of his career, but it's going to be absolutely denied. Vortex and Janus went out that first game.
Absolutely no surprise at all. One of the most veteran teams in the lobby of Janus with the newcomer, the up-and-comer of Vortex, ready to pop off. A team who should have performed so long ago in the FNCS game number 1 of the semi-finals of FNCS, already punching their tickets straight through to the finals.
Yeah, don't even call it last minute. This just feels like they were flexing a bit, trying things out in the qualifiers, and really showed us here when everything is actually on the line, they know exactly how to perform.
Yeah, and you know, I kind of called it. If the mentality was right, if the momentum was there, they were going to be so ready to pop off, and that's exactly what's just happened. Fortnite community, thank you.
Reese and ShyWager, thank you so much for that first game here of day 1 of semi-finals. My goodness, Reese's prediction, of course, Janus and Vortex. Reese, it makes me so upset. Anytime you do this, you're like, oh yeah, Zeke, well, you want to talk predictions? Of course. You start throwing names around to just distract me, right? To just get my little goldfish mind moving around and be like, oh yeah, no, that's a good team. And then you just casually, after everyone makes their picture, like, oh yeah, just Janus and Vortex. I don't know. I'm just pulling a couple duo names out of a hat. Like, I don't know. He does this every time, Levin. Every time.
Look, Janus and Vortex, one of the strongest duos. Look, I said it around 4th zone. I think when 5th popped, I said in our production chat, spoiler alert, they're going to win the game. Because at that point, you know, when you've watched how they play, at that point, they had gotten a refresh in the feed. It was just over from that point onwards. These guys know everything they need to do. They have all the fundamentals of a top team. Like Reese said, it was surprising that they were at this stage because they have looked impressive at moments. And of course, now they'll get to show that off in the finals. Congratulations for winning that first game.
Yeah, and I mean, Jan is somebody whose name is synonymous with not only being in the finals, but winning them in a lot of circumstances. So not surprised they were able to take it over. And in fact, can confirm he did prediction. He did predict it. He has the receipts in the chat there. Even wrote it down. It wasn't just like calling it out over the side. He made sure he was like, yep, put a timestamp on it. Levin called it.
Yeah.
There were so many duos in this just game one, right? That we're just falling left and right. I think back to that early game fight, Thomas HD versus Vino. Not going the way I would have anticipated it going. But, you know, this is just going to happen, right? A lot of nerves here in this first game and in semifinals specifically. Tayson gets the rough end of this initial fight. But, you know, we're going to see these kinds of things happen, right, Levin? I mean, this moment in the qualifying run, essentially, right, where they have to pull something. They have to put the pieces together, and they have to kind of change the total flow of how they're playing their game. Semifinals and qualifiers, they're just played similarly, but honestly very different.
Look, Sundown, you said it best, right? In the green room, look, it's rough watching two of probably the most talented Fortnite players ever whipping shots off spawn like that. And the big thing is, Joe and Vino, right, going on after that game, after winning that fight, I'm sure Tayson Toast will be like, you guys won the fight, you didn't even win the game. Like, we gave you your one chance to actually go out there and win. Now we're going to hop back in and get the rematch of that one. And so if it doesn't go Joe and Vino's way, I'm sure they will be really regretting that one, because that was a golden opportunity.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get many opportunities where some of the better players in the game just straight up don't hit their shots. And now you can see as we flip over, some of the better players in the game taking that game number one there, Zeke, with Guild Janus and Focus Vortex in the Victory Royale spot.
Absolutely, Sundown. And I think, too, a lot of these names we saw in this final zone, right? I kind of think about Fury, right? Coming in that second place, almost getting themselves the Victory Royale. But remember, Fortnite fam, you guys watching at home, Victory Royales will auto-qualify you in the finals, but that doesn't mean that it's over, right? We're still playing for series points, and at the end of the 5 games, your top 6 will move on through. So right now, even with that leaderboard, you see a lot of these players after just game 1, they're in a good spot. This is a good start, but it's still not enough. I think about like Swilliam, right? Swilliam and Lecce. We saw them. We kind of talked about them in qualifier 1 and 2. They haven't really done too much, but they're still making in the end game, right? Like the competition is just full of talented duos. And I think what better storyline, Sundown, than Swilliam coming over from the Asia region being like, hey, what's up? I'm in finals now too. What's going on? Nice to be here.
Yeah, I think anybody playing across region, it's always an interesting challenge. And in a format where all it is to win a game and then it's making end games and consistency points, there's a lot to be playing for. But one thing I want to note is the development in reboot round style games where the winner ends up going through. Before, we used to see a ton of heals and everyone playing the heal offs. It seems like we've shifted a bit away from that.
Man, I see. I like this topic, and we're going to touch on this more after this next game. But for right now, we're going back into all the action. Reese, Shy Wager, back over to you.
Thank you so much, Zeke. Levin, and Sundown does have a little bit of a fact there, right, Reese? That game, I mean, there was no kind of heal-off type thing. It was very serious all the way towards the end.
You got to remember that with the recent changes, not that long ago, obviously this season, the zones are now extended. So are you really going to be able to heal off? The only times that you can really prep for that is if zones pull back and back and back, and you're really lucky, so you don't have to waste those materials to keep building on through. So we're probably, I don't want to say we're probably not gonna, because there's been a good few heal offs this season, but it's unlikely that that will be the main strategy to win a game. I'm thinking it's just going to be high ground.
Yeah, I think the opposite to heal off would then just be damage on 24/7, right? You always gotta find these things to say. But what also kind of hit me like a wet cloth in the wind right now, Reese, is the fact that we only have 5 games. Depending on how you do your math, we're almost halfway there, right? 2.5 overall is kind of where you want to be looking at. This game is where, you know, teammates and teams are gonna be like, is it working? Are things not working? Is there time to readjust in this type of format?
Firstly, I do not want to see what your maths grades are like at all. We don't have much time to figure out because game 2 is ready right now.
Game number 2, if you made mistakes, if you had that 50-50, a second chance possibly to stay inside the same line completely, a second chance to try to go for a winner, stay consistent. For Joe and Thomas HD, it's the fight I'm kind of alluding to. They're on the same glide path again. Joe slightly slower, and Thomas with a huge glide all the way in, but he does find a fishing rod. Unfortunately, first is going to be rough. Chest kind of hit, but it's going to be Vino by himself, and now it'll be a 1v2.
That just shows how important those drops are. If you've not mastered that drop map, it doesn't matter how much you potentially bought a dropping map, you have to practice it. You have to make sure you have the golden plan down, because Thomas HD and Tayson are going to be in there practicing. They're not going to be guys who are looking to miss out on an FNCS finals because they do not know how to land on a gun.
Most definitely. I'm looking at the P2 to see which other players are making it in or out, because this fight might last a while. Kylie getting a nice little elimination. but expect him and Fastroki to honestly make it through the day. You always have that one off duo win. You know, the high ground retake or like the surprising. Where were they the whole time? It's always Fastroki, man. He's just there somehow, invisible demon.
Yeah, and like Fastroki's made basically every FNCS finals of the last year. Actually, no, he did make everyone. He came third in the Chapter 2 Season 8 with CRR and Aqua as well. Like a really, really talented player that I feel like just doesn't get enough credit. And as I say that, like I don't know enough about him because I don't give him enough credit personally.
I try to know more about him, but just like watching his gameplay more so than everyone else. I'm looking at some craziness though. Okay, splash saved. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know where that auto shotgun came from, but at the perfect time.
That's another one. I mean, I'm not going to put numbers up, but that's 2-0 to Splash right now, going up against Aqua and Noah Rayleigh. And honestly, like so far, like I said, I think Noah Rayleigh and Aqua, they're going to win a game. Even if it's not in this session, it'll probably be across the weekend. But right now, like across this FNCS and this season, like hasn't really been looking that strong. Struggled to find a duo that worked with when it came to the Cash Cups. Now playing with Noah Rayleigh specifically, and it's not really been going fantastically so far. So, you know, I want to see him on top. I'm a huge Aqua fan. I'm a huge Noah Rayleigh fan. This isn't just like the tier 1 gameplay that we're used to seeing yet.
Yeah, there's just no, you know, sense of Aqua control, a sense of like separation from them and every other team. It always looks like you don't even have to put Aqua on it. Noah Rayleigh's doing something different, right? Especially in duos. You talk about duos, Noah Rayleigh, Vidil, Reason, that type of trio. We would expect that they would have the utmost aggression, the utmost success in a format that, you know, you have more fights in, you have a little bit more dynamicism.
I mean, you say that, but the other part of that trio is already qualified. They've already made it. You know, they've already punched their ticket straight through to the finals already. So it seems to just be Noah right now that is struggling. Well, actually, Andrea and Flois are. That was one.
Yeah, a little bit of struggle all the way around, but with Skyzoo down inside this game. I mean, he had 4 eliminations coming in to game number 1. Very different for a lot of people around these POIs. Flois with the beam too. I know that him and Andretta aren't as aggressive. Jox actually goes down off that. That's crazy, but this will be a quieter game for a lot of duos here on the north side.
I got really excited there because we saw the third-party spray from what I'm almost guaranteeing would have been Ref's Garden Scram as they drop on the shell or high water over to the west side of that, and they'll be sitting up on that hill. They'll be third-party in this fight right now. And I saw the bullets come through, and I was like, oh, that elimination's not theirs, it's been taken. But no, they do manage to get both of them, which is going to be great points, especially considering Andrea and Flois went down off spawn in game number 1.
So what are teams who are looking to qualify through just the top 6 doing right now differently from the VR boys who are just looking to win the game?
I mean, realistically, like I've used this word every day, every broadcast, but the consistency is what matters. Like, if you're a team like Ref's Garden Scram, they're not game winners, right? At all. I actually checked; they've only won 1 game in a set lobby ever. Right? So
what?
Yes, and going back, and I think that was with Stompy when they were playing with.
Yeah, and they've had like second place runs. They've had like top 5s and stuff. So yes. that's crazy to think about.
Yes, so very much so not game winners. That doesn't mean they're not winners overall, right? They're fantastic players, and guys like these aren't playing for high ground, right? They're playing that low, they're playing that mid. They're making sure that they can consistently get deep into end games, get those, well, basically rack up the placement points, get the eliminations as you need them, and not be overly aggressive. The players who are going for wins, they're making risky plays, they're taking fights, they're diving into boxes, they're taking the height, they're getting front zone, just spraying high. It doesn't matter, right? You're going to see a really difference in the cadence in which the teams play.
That clash will definitely just make, you know, very interesting things happen, because all the time that, you know, that we watch FNCS quals and even finals, everyone has kind of attraction to playing consistently or maybe going for the VR, but over here you can really see the differences actually clash side by side in terms of talking about finals appearances as well. Analyx and Squeeze, who are on screen right now, they've been around more than everyone else. I feel like Analyx near season 6 of Chapter 2 started to get his flowers as well in terms of like people realizing, wait a minute, this guy's absolutely insane. Like, we should be looking at the way he plays, you know, him, Nate as well. How are these guys actually here every single time? I feel like this season I've seen them struggle the most though when it comes to duos.
I mean, I feel like the last year and this time has been the time we've seen struggle, right? Like Analyx, you know, we all of last year set Analyx up as like the day 2 guy or the second half guy, where he would pop off in that second half, but the first half would just be kind of shambles, and that kind of reigned true realistically. Nearly every FNC's finals, he clutched up big time. I'm trying to figure out what that's actually, you know that I think about that, that's even been the same with the Cash Cups now, because the first 3 Cash Cups, he didn't make it to the finals, and then the other half, he's won one. I think it's like a 10th and a 3rd as well. So it's like, maybe this is, but when does this start for FNCS? Is this now? Is this semifinals the time that they're about to shine, they're about to pop off, or is that going to be a finals day 2 where we're going to see them place middling, kind of like they have towards the end of last season's trios?
I feel like they're a duo, or NLX specifically as a player as well, is someone who needs control, right? I feel like when you're in duos, it's a lot harder to get, having one less teammate, having the drop switched up completely as well. You saw the struggle that NLX had at the start of the season when, you know, a new map dropped out completely too. There's definitely questions that need to be answered. There is a time that these guys end up turning up. It should be right now. Getting in early, claiming a drop before everyone else inside finals as well, that'll be huge for people's success.
But with NLX, let's be real. Firstly, they're not claiming that drop spot because they're trying to go condo. Reason of a deal already there. They're not going to budge. They're not going to leave. Almost no chance of that at all. There's also another team that's already looking to contest them there as well, which is Hukan Zestin, who they have already fought, who've really been good in that drop spot. So I actually think NLX team's the worst off spawn when it comes to that condo. A great team, but they're just fighting some demons right now.
Absolutely, just in the gym trying to work it out. It's gonna be tough, but if there is a team that can do it, it's always XWEEZ and NLX.
100%.
I mean, 20 finals is the stat speaks for itself, right? So they are definitely in the business. I'm loving just the overall ambiance of the semifinals, though. A lot of the times game 2 is where things tend to go a little bit crazy. People are like, all right, you know, off spawn, I went down, it's time to go. Just bazingo mode on everyone. Just end up diving into boxes. I want to go from sleepy and just go into Covert Cavern and see what's happening there too. We have one game of things to work with, but right now everyone's playing it close to the chest.
Spawn. So they have the double launch pad. We're also seeing one on Thomas, which means the other one's on Tayson. Look at the inventory that we have on them right now. Like, absolutely stacked to the gills. And they're making a smart play. They're rotating to Greasy Grove. That is smart because you got to remember our previous game winner, Janus and Vortex, they dropped Greasy Grove. So now this probably means that a bunch of teams who don't know this drop spot have moved here. They've switched over. Less experienced teams in this area. So Thomas HD and Tayson can rotate through the dead side, come here and pick on some of these teams who probably don't know this spot as well.
They kind of remind me of mall cops right now. You know, they end up just getting too close to your car sometimes when they're driving in the parking lot. Plus, like, they're just trying to wonder what you're doing. Like, bro, I'm shopping. It's a mall.
You're making me uncomfortable, man.
Like, hey, it's
not doing anything wrong.
I'm refarming. Like, there's nothing going on here. Just play your game. Look at your loadout. Like, you know, you're strapped up. You're looking good. The moped's nice. Just go about your day. I'm a customer.
Yeah, that's the kind of feeling that, see, I'm not a driver, so that's that feeling when I go into a shop and I walk up and I want to buy something. And then I'm like, I don't want to buy anything, so I walk out and I have that awkward feeling I've not bought it. It's the exact same thing.
Definitely there. So we'll see who else these guys end up questioning inappropriately, I guess. Just, you know, unprovoked. Unprovoked, though, yeah. But, you know, look, see, we're looking at Resguard Scram. I mean, first game, whatever they did, got them towards kind of 9th place overall. I like that. If you're doing like a staying top 10 performance, you got to remember, 5 teams are leaving. So that would leave you at top 5 if you just played 10th place kind of consistently overall. I know it's a little bit of mental math, and my math was shot at the start of this entire game, so I'm trying to make up for it, you know what I mean, with some intellectual knowledge.
I feel like maybe they also picked in qualifier 1, which was one away from the qualification slot. So if history was to suggest anything, you know, right now they're primed for 7th, which I hope not, because I want to see Red Star scrap the final.
That's true. But 9th in a format where 5 teams are gone, that's 4th overall, so...
But were those 5 teams the teams who would be up there on the leaderboard, or are they teams who just picked up 1 victory right now?
That is true. I didn't think of that. Maybe I'm just, you know...
This is why I did good in math.
Okay,
so you said this is the halfway point.
See, you got the application portion of the test locked down. Me, I look at it and I flip the page to the next page and be like, oh, I can't answer these either. End up just flipping the test page for 2 hours and then just circling random things. But, you know, we're here. We made it.
We've all been there. Look, notice in the bottom right-hand corner, we're going to see the map right now. This is another south zone, southwest in particular. So we've already noticed Thomas HD and Tayson are in this location. They're fully on the dead side with a ton of their surge picked off. And this isn't enough. They're still trying to pick on other teams who are around them to try and ensure that they are up above. Look how careful they're being too, right? You can see that Tayson's obviously going to speak right there to the AI, the bot that's in there, because it gives him chili chug splashes if you manage to get enough gold from the utilization of the vault. I'm trying to remember. The vault. There we go. There's a word. Easy to mess them up. So they got the vault, moved on here, got the chili chug splashes. To me, 2 launch pads, probably 12 chili chug splashes in the inventory split across the 2. This just smells of high ground.
It also just smells of you know, being rich. And although that's a good thing right now, I'm going somewhere with this. It's a good thing right now, right? And this switch in the game. Look what happened to Joe and Vito. They kind of got Robin Hooded by the entire circuit, right? Everyone just kind of picked their pockets apart. They had too many things to think of. So I like the fact that Thomas and Tayson are still kind of playing how they are. You mentioned it, right? That type of aggressive variety, the game seriousness of just pushing for the hills, going for aggressive positions. Maybe Joe Vito last game got a little bit overwhelmed with the inventory they had. I want to see the power definitely that Thomas HD and Tayson have in their inventory be utilized. They're still playing like the Thomas and Tayson we love.
No doubt. You know, they're playing smart. They're playing on the dead side. Every position, every rotation is calculated right now. Like, this is a game plan. This isn't a team that we saw earlier on in the season of these guys where they were just playing a little bit. They hadn't put in the practice. They hadn't got the strats down. This is where these guys absolutely thrive. Season 7, remember back to Tayson. Horrible season, frankly. But when it came to the semi-finals, dominant performance. 2 out of 6 games won. Clutched massively and then ended up, I'm going to say, it was like, when it mattered, Tayson can perform, and Thomas HD is exactly the same thing. That's why, like, I'm so confident. I said it in Qualifier 1 that Tayson and Thomas
definitely. Well, right now, Skyscraper getting chopped down. Timber, but it's metal that's being just picked apart. Vortexia, once again, him and Castery, absolute nuisance, but this is a multi-layered Exponentia. This is going to be a little bit of a Uno reverso for Vortexia and Castery. Another team below them as well. Ended up chopping them out. That's Clement and Floki, who are now alive and not fighting off of spawn. We get to see their trap-making prowess. Ever seen a trap on, you know, another trap just completely sprung completely? That's just, I don't know, only in EU type stuff that happens.
Only in EU, indeed. They've been a nuisance today, you know? They've been the guys who've been rotating in. Like, 2 eliminations so far in this game. We saw at least 2 in the previous game as well when they rotated into Camp Cuddle. But now Vortexia losing Castery, not great, you know? Not great for himself at all. This late in the game, he's going to have to try and get a read. He's going to have to go into the zone. He's going to have to probably move somewhere else to get something up. As there's such a decay.
Sometimes you get gifted, sometimes you get and you end up coming out ahead.
That's going to be huge for them. Remember, these guys have been fighting off spawn. We saw some of the kind of awkwardness in the previous games up against Murtash Malabuka. They won that off spawn this time, so they've managed to do huge things, pick up more. They're killing the end game. Moving back, this is the replay of Vortexia now.
Yeah, this is inside the 1v2. This is against Floki and Clement, and does he get at least one before he goes down? No, he's eliminated completely. Lots of damage, though. And you can see the difference in pressure, Reese, right? Kane, he's put on the back foot. Yes, he might have missed a few shots, but he didn't end up doing
You know, he is a controller player. He managed to utilize that to the finest. If you get close to him, if you're in a one-box perimeter, he's going to hit the shot. He's going to tear you down and do a bunch of damage, as we've already seen. Switching over to Resguard and Scram, who are in a great position. Unlike Nako and Dan, the team have been super well this season, but not this particular game because they've been on that late rotate. They're getting held by what seems like 50% of the lobby.
I'm liking this. At the top, you have consistency reigning true with Resguard Scram. Bottom right, setting Chapix, looking for any opportunity to really start to pop off. They don't really have a foot in either VR or consistency category. Then you have Tayson and Thomas, who are looking for that win. 3 definite, very different mentalities of approach when it comes to playing this zone in Rocky Reels. Tayson and Thomas, nice high point right now. They're going to have to move. I like the fact that they have a launch pad on either teammate too, depending on who goes down, the other one's going to end up clutching.
Yeah, I don't think this is the time they want to use it. I'm not a veteran player, let's be real. But at this point, they're trying to spray out those players up on high ground, get some distraction going, get some of the other eyes focused on them. Because there's not actually that many players around them, right? They're on the dead side. They're going to pop the Chili Chug Splash. They're going to get to that front side. This should be an easy rotate, in particular with the new sliding mechanic here. Going downhill, even just utilizing a little bit of your wood, a little bit of the brick, something that you can reharvest here. They're opting for metal, of course. No problem, because you can get it back. You're just in that safe rotation. Now all they need to worry about is getting in to that 5th zone when it pops up next.
Looks really good. Let's see exactly how Refsguard actually ends up using the pressure he had before. This is him actually abusing timing as well. Naku and Dan move so late. They just pick one apart as Dan goes down momentarily after the frack on the other side. Now you're looking at timing as well. Thomas HD Tayson, move early, moving fast. Yes, it's a little bit risky. You end up using a few more mats, but you're there now. For everyone else, 14 seconds still left. Refsguard and Scram need to move.
Going to say at that same time, Nico and Dam are a mid-map team. They managed to struggle getting to a relatively close zone for them, not the closest, whereas Scram alongside Refsguard, veteran players, almost a max distance zone for them, and they understand rotation timings. They understand that they have to get to that full south side early, and look, there's the absolute result of that. Easy eliminations for them.
I'm looking at Analyst Squeeze now. Love these vehicle type rotations and the whiplash with the chonkers, but now it's too high to fly past that low barrier. Analyst just free builds and moves. And in the backside, he's just taking shots at everyone. Is he even allowed to play like this? This is crazy. Absolutely naked on height. That should not be possible.
You can do whatever you want. You're an absolute veteran. We saw there, however, X-Squeeze's HP was extremely low at the same time. Seems like they managed to get themselves a great position in that earlier zone. They're already going for high ground, whereas Seti and Chapix, a team right now who's going on the low, trying to get those beams, trying to get the shots, and play for low.
Yeah, low on everything, too. Look at the threshold on the right side, 36. And just like the temperature it would be, it's getting a little bit too cold for them right now, freezing almost. They need to really start to heat up and land a few more shots for action. His feet on those lower builds right there. And Seti just knows. He just has complete awareness of every team around him. And now with Coop down 2, he sees it in the feed. He goes back to frack and tries to get a few more shots in 2. Fury on the bottom side is pressuring that duo. Chapik's now finally beside. It looks like these two have been on very separate adventures, gotten a lot of damage off of it, and now are finally ready to move, but so is every other team around them. Fraction now box to box with them. This is if they get this refresh. They don't have zone just yet either, so they have about 10 seconds to get ready and done with this fight. Then they have to move. Any more time than that, Reese, this is going to be absolute trouble.
Yeah, see the tarp the Seti made? He pre-tarped his way into zone to give himself the space to work with. Imagine he hadn't built this. This would have been freshly built as they tried to rotate in, and the rest of the lobby would have had their eyes on it. This has allowed them to go for this elimination onto frack, manage to get some damage off, and this should be it. Yes, that's going to be it.
Time, though. 15 seconds till they have to move, and they're also still deliberating on what loot to get. They don't even get the elimination. That was Vove from a complete other different box. All the time they invested. They don't get the siphon. They don't get the points, but they do have the mats. That being said, 1 second left. Yes, they'll be towards the close side, but they've been completely blind as to what's going on above them. Seti builds a few boxes, understands it takes the lay of the land. He knows that the right side is a little bit free right now, and yes, they start to move. Now, from the top side, though, Chapix gets beamed on the backside. This is not going to be an easy rotation, but finally, they find some shelter. Going to be delayed here as he has to heal.
Even if they make it into this rotation, that's a lot of materials used, almost 0 brick onto Seti at this point, and they're not going to be able to harvest that back at any point, which means they're going to have to go for a refresh at some point soon.
Absolutely. Look at Refsguard's move, though, on the bottom left. 3 thwips, and he's already in. That's going to be huge. Scram beside him. I'm looking at this team and seeing exactly how they're going to navigate that low ground. Meanwhile, Andalex, yes, he drove in. He looked free, but a little bit of jail time, some punishment for X-Squeeze right now, because he is down, and it's all up to Andalex now.
Yeah, that's why you have to shadow players in duos, right? X-Squeeze with the duo, you have to stay so close. If you don't, if you're separated, players can take advantage of that. They can box you. They can pick you up like that. Andalex managed to do such a good job of getting up there, but without X-Squeeze.
Every team is struggling, though. Kinzel down for now. Kefi, who's usually in and always shadowing his duo, splintered apart. He's gone. Jamsud down to Slove. All these survivors we're used to seeing in the mid-ground, in these endgames, they are not making it there, Reese.
They're not survivors, but Seti and Chapix right now thrivers in the lobby. Hopefully with a launch pad, but I highly doubt it given the fact that they made that shabby rotate before. The Chili Chug Splash is in the inventory, and here we go. Here's the above view, the plan view of everything that we need to see. The launch pads coming out. Thomas, HD, and Tayson. The team with 2 launch pads. The team with the Chili Chug Splashes from that fantastic rotate. Get themselves into a good position. This launch pad will take them to the front side of zone. Let's see if they go for the high ground play or not.
So many different decisions on where to actually base up. They want to be ahead of the zone, but at the same time, there's so many people all the way at the front side who are already clearing the land inside the sand. Thomas HD just bases up slightly, but so much damage already taken. He has a few minis to get all the way back up and up beside Tayson as well. You talk about shadowing. It's pretty dark inside this box. Both teammates side by side. It's looking real good.
It is the Chili Chug Splash pop. They're going to start to try stagger a little bit here. Wait for the zone to catch up so they can use that increased movement speed to get themselves up to the front side of zone. Similar to Ref's Garden Strand here on the full dead side. 5 below the Storm Surge on moving zones. You're going to have to start to make a play to get inside the box. The spray starts to come out, and here we go. Are the crosshairs going to be placed on the head? Are they going to hit the shots, or are they going to be dwindled down to the Storm Surge?
They're just like spinning tops around inside this storm, completely lost. Can't even land a single shot, but Repscart finds it when it matters most. Down and out though before they get to that crucial placement towards the end game. Who is it on top? Who is controlling the lobby? It's Andy all the way on high ground, and they are looking good.
Clutch King, you got to remember back to Chapter 2 Season 7, the high ground was won in absolutely incredible fashion by them, but Thomas HD and Tayson are now looking for it. Look at the sight line, look at the vision. They're propping the launch pad, they're going for it, but no, they didn't manage to actually get all the way up. Such a good control from Ziandi alongside Alex Scott to hold things down, so now Thomas HD and Tayson are going to have to reevaluate that plan.
Stuffed and denied. Andy, though, is a little bit too high. So, yeah, they're going to try to go all the way back down. See the pad, too, that a lot of teams might be able to reuse. And there's a sneaky boy going straight all the way up for height. Who is it? Who is trying to claim this? Now it's a complete build fight all the way towards the top. Big shot, 71-27 to respond as well. Andy is looking good on the defense. This high ground is untouchable. Slove dropped all the way back down to mid. Chased by Andy, he's mad. He's still going for a complete control. Still has a few shots from mid-range as well. This man can do it all. He's got 4 arms while he's playing, but 2 get chopped down as that build goes away. Andy still is all in now. 7 builds. He needs this refresh. Zygot is nowhere to be found for the moment. He's facing the whole lobby by himself.
It's a mechanical masterclass from Ziandi and Alex Head up on high ground, but Mosh, you can see using the Spider-Man to swing all up, but down on the mid ground, Tayson H, I was going to say Tayson HD, Tayson is down, leaving Thomas HD by himself to clutch up. If Ziandi is one of the guys who can clutch, Thomas HD is absolutely one of the other names you've got to put up there to pick up a victory royale as a solo.
What happened to the zone? I see Irizumi and Malucio on the backside gone. I see all of the height things that we built up completely shot down. It's Mosh now by himself, who's just trying to maybe make this a win. Thomas HD has a chance for that clutch too.
And do hear Mosh up on the high ground as a solo, trying to spray down below another solo. The game of solos. I thought we were watching duos. 0 builds left to his name, but look at the inventory, the weapons, the firepower that he has with the aim. Yes, that's going to be an elimination down to the player down below.
That's 1 for Thomas HD. Mosh all the way on height. He's still running shots down. Thomas now on mid-ground still with just 4 builds. Mid-air shotgun shot. This man hits the hard shots. 2 armored walls. 2 builds. He makes the most out of it. Most important fight now on the left side. He's not controlling any of the builds. Thomas HD is still looking for the pressure. He's still going, and Clownski is down. Thomas makes it happen, but no, it's Mosh that actually grabs all the pressure from Putrick up on the top side. It's Toots and Putrick out of nowhere who take the fight all the way on the top rope and get it. 5 different teams. They seem to be the only duo alive right now and are looking healthy, but mats for everyone are dwindling thin. Thomas HD is all the way on low. He needs this Elam fast. Time is not on his side. Trapped now. Yes, his other team opponent actually needs to know that he needs to go up. It's Clement. No Floki. He's down 2 inside the storm. Thomas HD. 3 teams alive. 2 solos, 1 duo for the moment. He's trying to just stay away from any of the action. He does not want to be the focus of anyone right now. Has the builds, just 1 box to use, and maybe a ramp afterwards. No more armored walls. Can't even hear who is where around him, taking some zone damage already. He tries to get ahead, but that's his final mats. The gold won't help you here, my friend. You need to land those shots. He has to go for first, maybe even second for the moment, but things are looking absolutely disastrous. Thomas HD is by himself, and he can't find anyone. The GPS is off. The lights are completely down. Thomas has no idea where to go. Inside someone else's box, and he does not get that elimination. This will do everything for Putrick and Toots to know exactly they need to drop down. What a formulaic win for them. An absolutely great takeover and a cool VR for game number 2.
That is massive, but you know, that's going to be huge for all the Camp Cuddle teams. That's 1 more out there. Poos and Putrick, who we saw have a, let's be real, very questionable fight in game number 1 that dragged out. No issues with that in game number 2. Clinical high ground retake towards the end of the 3rd move-in zone. And of course, the victory royale, and pick it straight through to
They have been bullied for like 2 months, I feel like, playing this game. And off of that win, they finally have some happiness. Big ups for those guys for getting that win.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge for them, like I mentioned. I'm interested to see that drop spot in the next game as well. Look, There's only so much that we can say. Let's throw it back to the desk, see what they've got to say about it.
Oh, we got so close to the solo clutch from Thomas HD. My goodness. 11 casually in the back when I was like, oh, wait. Oh, is it? Wait, is Tayson down? You're like, yeah, Thomas HD's by himself. He's going to solo clutch. Watch. So close. I just cannot believe how incredible Thomas HD is, right? We've been watching him all last year, right? Continue to develop and hone his skills. We've known for a long time that when it comes to just raw aim ability, technical prowess, the ability to absolutely just roll people, he's capable of. But now, especially here, Levin, when that difficulty is just that much harder, the pressure is just that much more. He's almost taking away victory royales.
Yeah, he's in his element here, right? This is where he can just rely on his individual talent to carry him through. And look, this is the first time Thomas and Tayson haven't auto-qualified to a final, right? So you can see he's taking it personally. He came out there and was absolutely on one. And look, obviously wasn't able to get the victory royale in the end, but if this is a sign of how he's going to continue to play throughout things, it's going to be a very, very quick session for them, I'll tell you that much.
And that's a lot of points. Don't forget the top 6 teams who don't end up getting a victory royale will end up going through to the finals. So despite the fact they weren't able to snag the ticket right then and there, they're still going to feel pretty good about that. That's going to rocket them up the leaderboard a significant amount. And if Tayson doesn't kind of get randomly picked, they're in a much better situation there.
I know. I feel like if they had just been together, right? And we talk about this like solo clutch factor, and in trios it was a lot more difficult, right? 1v3, but now 1v2, especially when you're someone like Thomas, these things can actually go in the way of the solo. But we can't forget other duos popping off here. We also had people like Andalex, right, who just were absolutely terrorizing the lobby here. It's crazy how they're able to come in and just completely shift the dynamic of a game, right? They just show up, and because they just exist, because his name is just Andalex, you see his name show up in the feed one time, and immediately you have to think, okay, wait, he's around. Is he on my layer? Is he a high ground player? Did he pick up elimination near me? I mean, Levin, there's just so many factors. This Shark is just ready to try and find those eliminations.
Seeing Andalex and Thomas being able to just run around as solos, wreaking havoc, it is honestly Fortnite heritage there. Like, this is what it's all about if you're someone who's been following FN Comp for a while, because these two are two of the most talented players. And, you know, a lot of the things I said about Thomas just a second ago, you can apply to Andalex. Very much out here, you know, really looking to just show off his prowess, show why he's considered one of the best players to play this game.
And again, I mean, you want to talk about veterans going all the way through. We haven't even talked about the players who ended up walking away and then winning the match with that brilliant high ground take and coming through. The pair of veterans just able to run it down right from the top. Toos and Patrick. I mean, you saw just the chaos that happened up on the high ground, and it felt like whoever ended up on top with enough materials was just going to be able to run it out, and they timed it perfect.
Yeah, look, you know, it got to that 8th zone and you know, the 3rd move in. That's when you got to start making a decision as a duo, right? You got to start thinking, okay, what's our win condition here? How do we actually win this game? Cool, we've made it. You know, we've done a brilliant job to get all this away, but how do we win this game? Do you look down? Do you look up for height? They looked up for height, and like you said, the perfect timing. They won out the game from there. This is going to be a team who, moving into the finals, will be a big threat. But as you can see, we've been talking about these standings. Even if you aren't winning games, you still want to make sure you are doing well.
is capable of winning 1 in 16 matches, which they have the ability to play in. They just have to go through, stick to their game plan, and eventually get that chance. And once you get the opportunity, you got to put your foot through it and just keep going, right?
That's right, man. 3 more games to see how this all unfolds.
Again, it's time now, leaving us with some awesome words. Time is still there. It's of the essence, but Reese, you have to grasp it. 2 games already down, 3 more to go. This is going to be tough for some of these teams who are having a rough day.
It is.
HD missing the 4th shots of this off-spawn. 5th, 6th, don't make it 7. That's what I'm talking about, the lucky number, and he's started off just like that too. That's 7 shots to take for him to basically get online. They're in 7th place overall as well. The stars are aligning for Thomas HD and Tayson Reese.
I don't know what I was sweating more at, the end game where he was solo clutching or just that 1v1. Like, I'm checking my pits right now, I'm telling you.
Oh my goodness. Vino though, he should still be around. Unless that was Vino that was taken out. I was just paying more attention to the shot completely, but Joe and Vino are there somewhere. Aqua and O'Reilly, I see 2 eliminations. Is Aqua allowed to play in the FNCS now? This is crazy. Usually just hard out every game.
Suggest that was the case. The drop map nailed at this point, the pickaxe, even though he's got the gun out, and that is it. 50-50, and this is kind of what you actually want to do early game. And not usually, right? If you're looking for a consistent game, you don't want a 50-50, but a team like Aqua and Norelli who are going for that victory royale, let's be real, they're trying to win a game. 50-50 off spawn, gets it over with quickly, then they can play the rest of it out, hopefully without that turn of the long off one fight.
Lucky Mr. J inside a fight, and Vico's up against him too. He takes a little bit of a break to go for a few shots up in the air. Already knows he's at the cornfield somewhere and has no builds either. Ooh. What? Mr. J, that's a 5 HP shot to keep him in the game. 2 HP. You cannot take it easy against these players. First Thomas, then Mr. J. And the fear is still there too. The teammate that we saw before, Wolfie, all the way on the top side, who's gliding in, is going to have a little bit of HP to get back as well. But Mr. J has to hold things down himself. This is trouble. Wolfie's there to help him out, and he has a little bit of time to get a few mats. This is crazy. These shots, Reese, it really seems like every player's online.
Every single one. The right-hand peak. This heavy shotgun, if you connect with it properly, man, does it do damage. You obviously saw that with Thomas HD earlier on. Now we're seeing it at the same time with Mr. J here. And obviously, Yikes has lost Vico. He's going down for this 1v2. We know that Mr. J alongside Wolfie don't have many materials in there. So this pressure is going to be really important. Trying to just dwindle away the match. Slow pickaxes, the good angles, but not trying to waste too much time so that Wolfie can pop that medkit that he's potentially just already going to go for here.
Yeah, Mr. J's just holding it out. The medkit does get popped ultimately, and now Dax has to do 200 total damage. Nice shot. The left one misses. The unfortunate is just one pellet, and if it's just hit fired, it's not going to go to the right space. Nice creative edit to try to maybe catch Wolfie off guard, but it's not going to be enough, and they make it. I mean, surprisingly off spawn.
What's interesting is that for Mr. J and Wolfie, like, they were in qualifier number 1. Ooh, that was a beautiful shot now they watch it back from that perspective. But these guys were uncon here, right? This is their draw spot that they've chose to in Sanctuary, and they weren't really able to capitalize on that, right? They ended up 22nd overall, and I'm wondering if, in all honesty, being contested will help. As we see Lazen going for the reboot launch, failing it twice, it would seem.
That is the funniest thing I've seen in the FNCS. I'm not gonna lie. I was about to be ready to break that down. Like, this is sick. I like this investment. Yeah. Bing bong. Just hits
He's gonna carry him through the air. It's gonna be amazing. No.
Oh my god.
But interestingly enough, Lazen and Mirza, like if you remember back, qualifier number 1, they had a ton of struggles off spawn, and this seems to be absolutely no different right now. They seem to not be able to get a break at all.
Lazen should look up, you know, some stand-up comedy maybe, if this is the case. If the FNCS is not working out. He's trying this, I mean, we've seen
like from the Shell or High Wire draw spot, this is quite a long way to travel here. As we switch back over, see the replay of what actually happened. So this is the fight that they ended up going down for. And I'm guessing right now that you can understand what's happening from this POV, right? This is why Refs Guard and Scram ended up pushing into that perspective. They see that fight going on. They understand both teams are weak down there. That's probably why they've moved so far out their drop. Obviously, it didn't work out so far for Lazen, though.
this is where we start to see teams try different things, and that's what makes it interesting for everyone as well that's playing. They have to just make sure they're not getting too comfortable overall. That's what happens in Game 3 sometimes too. I would assume that a bunch of teams playing right now, Pulse and Adrena especially, are still frustrated, not fully comfortable with the performances they're getting game after game. I'm seeing right now that, what, 70 points, 60 points is where you want to be if you want to have... Inside the semifinals, they're at 15, so they have a lot of work cut out ahead of them.
Yeah, and like, Andrea is a tarper at the end of the day, you know? And Flois is a fantastic low-ground player as well. Remember back to multiple seasons where he was able to pop off alongside Kaiser and Hellfire in, I think, Season 7 as well. Fantastic low-ground player. Andrea, similarly with Mr. Benji, I say that every time, Benji Fishy and Mr. Savage, again, a great low-ground team. So if you're trying to be consistent here, yeah, that's not the playstyle that's going out for that. So I don't know if we're going to see these guys go to high ground, but what I do know is that